DMT in the house. That's me. Dissecting meaningless thoughts. Why'd I call it that? I don't know. Came up with it with a couple of friends, the founders, JT and Devin. But today we got Travi. And
What up? What up?
I remember your name from last time. It's Niadlik, I think, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Got him.
You're one of the very few people that told that like once and it stuck.
Yeah,
So
well, I gotta do my whatchamacallit.
school is terrible with that.
Well, the other day, whole haul, I forgot it. Like the second he told me, I know you heard it in the podcast, but I was like, damn, yo, like he told me his name, and then like 2 seconds later, I just forgot it. I felt like a stoner, even though I don't smoke. That's what I felt like. I was like, oh shit, man, what did he say? But anyway,
I was just like,
we had another person just jump in. Yo, you can't even knock or nothing. You just hop in like that.
What?
What's going on, Jay? I was just talking about you, one of the founders right there, JT.
Hey guys, what's happening?
This is Travi. Travi's got his camera off because he's a goblin or something. I don't know. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
Well, let me figure this out here.
Yo, you just got off work, Jared?
No, I've been off.
What is this? This is like some weird porno. Some weird ass POV I don't want to see.
I'm chilling.
Anyway, sorry. Back to you. Oh, the kitty. Back to you,
I
Jared.
inherited this cat. It was my family. It was my wife and kids' cat. Well, my wife and daughter's, and because my daughter terrorizes it, she loves me the best out of the family. So.
Yeah. Dude, I don't have a good history with cats. I used to sleep over at one of my friend's house, and he had a bunch of baby cats, and like I would be sleeping there, and they would jump on my head. It was a really bad situation.
It's a classic cat thing.
I think it was at your house, actually.
Yeah.
And then you had
they weren't related.
It's just ironic because I hate cats. I really do.
The organs were definitely shaped the right size.
What? I'm confused. Yo, man.
They were inbred, so they like one of them had an enlarged heart. And,
oh, gotcha.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad. It was very bad.
Yeah, me and Jared been playing Valheim, which is
Yeah, what is that?
hold on, I gotta switch to where'd it go?
It's like a what do you call it? Like a survival game.
I'll switch to this one. Yeah, it's pretty, dude. The houses that these people are making right now are pretty nuts.
Oh yeah, ridiculous.
That must take
My
a
game
lot.
would crash. My computer would not be able to handle that stuff.
How far have you gotten?
Decently far. I got like I don't know what it's called. I'm in the Bronze Age, so I got bronze armor and stuff like that.
Does the time change, or is it just like
No, not really.
What do you mean Bronze Age? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, I'm technically maybe in the Bronze Age, but I'm making bronze material stuff.
So, Travi and I were gonna talk about. I didn't want to go into it right away because you know how YouTube goes after people hardcore nowadays. But some of the ridiculousness of, there we go. That's what I was looking for. These COVID restrictions and like just the COVID things that are going on nowadays. He was telling me that like somebody got. I mean, you could tell it again if you want. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like where I work, I mean, I won't. Some people know, but I'm not going to disclose it just out of respect. But someone tested positive, and it was just like they were kind of like as like carefree about getting people tested, I guess. Like, so this happened on a Sunday, and we got the news on a Tuesday night, and you would think like, okay, have everyone from Sunday on go and get tested. But that wasn't like the case in the the demands of the higher ups. It was just the people that worked with that person on Sunday, which I guess to an extent is logical, but at the same time, you have overlapping shifts and stuff, so it's like, I don't know. I feel like they should have rolled with like everyone from Sunday on get tested, shut down for a day or two.
I mean,
which they did shut down and they sanitized everything. You know what I mean? They did the proper thing that they needed to do, but it was just like, I don't know. And then you think back to like last year, and I feel like the whole entire dynamic would have been different. And I know there's like vaccines and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's just kind of crazy to me. Not that I'm like in fear of the virus or anything. I have my own views on it, but just the lackadaisical, I guess, carefree of the test process was kind of shocking to me.
Well, think about the restaurant thing. I mean, I'm still sticking with what you're saying, but I'm just going off of it. Like, you walk in, you stand in line, you gotta have a mask. You walk in, you gotta have a mask. And then as soon as you sit down, you take your mask off, you go to the bathroom, you put your mask back on. Or, like, when you go to Family Dollar, like, you walk up to the cash register, and there's, like, this plexiglass, and, like, magically nothing goes around the little bit of plexiglass or underneath or over. It's like, nothing makes sense. I'm like, they're just making it up as they go, which is cool because, like, we didn't know, obviously, what was going on at first. Remember, did I message you, Jared, when the first China, like, the videos came out and the people were, like, on the floor and they had people locked in their houses and stuff, and it was like, what is going on? Get some food, make sure you got ammo. Everyone was going nuts. So we didn't know what was going on, but now, like, I mean, we got all these different places. We got Norway, we got, I almost said France, but we got Florida, Norway, California, New York, which have, not good number. Anyway, you know what I'm saying.
There's a lot of overreaction, honestly, because some of that is like CDC guidelines say, like, if you're around somebody, regardless if you had a mask or not, like 15 minutes, were you within 6 feet? There's certain things like that to where then if those things are yes, and yes, the likelihood of you getting something from them is higher. So at my work where I've had to go and get tested, and I think total, I've been working this whole time, I think total I had lost like a day and a half because of my test. But during that, I was within 6 feet of somebody or around them within 15 or around them for 15 minutes. And that's what prompted me. Okay, it's like, all right, well, go ahead and get one and hurry up and wait kind of thing.
The test
that's like CDC's, like straight CDC stuff, but other people are just doing their own version of it, and it's really messing up people's brains.
What you mean?
Just like as people do their own things, and like there's guidance for the CDC for everybody, but as they do their own stuff, like certain people, like, okay, you can go to a restaurant right now, you can wear your mask, you go sit down, like you said. But as soon as you sit down, some places like, no, keep it on until you have a drink in front of you. And the moment you don't have anything you're eating or drinking, put it back on. It's just like that's their version. That's not what the CDC says. So like some places like take that, like, and just run with it. And I think that doesn't help the situation, because then people get overly like, well, my place does this or my place does that, and then it's an easy slope, like it's a slippery slope to like get more ridiculous than it has to be. And I think a lot of that comes from the news,
Yeah, and people taking their own liberties to like change shit and like, well, we're gonna take extra precautions. Which precautions are good. Nobody's complaining about precautions, but we need like just a flat line. What are we doing? Right. What am
I saying that, right? Like having a flat line, would it not? I mean, who are we? But it would just seem to me to be logical for at least like food service or place like where you're dealing with high traffic of people. Maybe like I was talking with Rich and doing like 2-week intervals of testing or something, and being able to provide that result. And then because I was telling him, I also, like, my household had it early in December, and we had to do the quarantine thing and whatnot in 14 days. And we, as a family, as a unit, quarantined.
Yeah.
And once,
Man.
the rest of us got our test results back of being negative and stuff like that, one of us would run to the store if need be, but predominantly did that 14 days in home. And so the logic behind, for me, for like the 2-week thing is they would have that quarantine period, and the contagion period or whatever, from what they say, kind of covered. So
Yeah, I go to the colleges all the time, and you just see lines outside of the testing places. Some colleges, at the beginning, they were getting tested 3 times a week. That's 4. They were getting tested 3 times a week. Now I think they're doing 2 times a week. And it's just like, I don't know.
That's
man.
crazy. I totally agree with that. And that makes sense. Like, go and keep getting tested every so often. The problem is the college is telling people, I have a resident that like the college told them, oh, you got to wait 90 days because of their insurance. So this person's like stuck at home for like, they can't get another test for 90 days. So they're like, well, I passed the 2 week, but I can't prove that I'm clear of it. It's so late. And then there's places open that you can get it for free. And the college is like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, like that's what I did. I went through, the first time I got tested, I went through HCC, their thing.
Yep.
And that was like a pretty good setup. And then the second time I went to the Eastfield Mall just like this past week, and it was like there was literally 2 or 3 cars in front of me. And like there was 4 lanes open, there was like 2 cars in the other lane, like 2 cars in one of the other lanes, but there was literally like no one there. It was just like kind of shocking to see, you know what I mean? Like, just I would have expected more people. When I went like literally in December at HCC, me and my dad went at like 6:30, got there for 6:30 in the morning, and it opened at 7, so we kind of beat half the line. And we got through there and like we left at like 9:15. You know what I mean? So this one we sat there for literally like 2 minutes waiting for the cars to go, and then we were through.
Yeah, I don't.
It's just like I don't
Sorry.
know, it's so crazy. It seems like the turn of the year. It's like, oh, now we're figuring things out or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what we did. We kind of switched up what we were like. Heather went out and got a bunch of vitamins for like the kids, like gummies, just all this stuff. And honestly, probably the mask helps too, because we haven't really got sick at all this year. Like, and last year, Lena being in school, she got everything that came around, hand, foot, and mouth, like everything.
Oh yeah, the
Like,
schools are crazy. Yeah,
anything that came through, she got it. And yeah, this year we've been like good. So I haven't gotten tested. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but we've been fine. I got tested last year because someone we knew came into contact with somebody, but other than that, man, we've been good. Nobody's getting sick. It's crazy.
yeah, they're really streamlining things. The HCC thing, I went to Green GCC and it was quick getting that line or whatever. I think, was it GCC you went to or HCC?
HCC.
Gotcha. The GCC was quick, easy, went right through. Didn't have to wait. When I went, by the time that happened, they were just like, oh, just park here and go inside. So my wife would want up there, drive through, and quick, very quick.
Also, with the HCC one, when I had initially looked on the website to register and everything, it actually gave completely different directions at that point in time to how they were doing it. It looks like they must have changed the process. I mean, I went to HCC like way back when 2012. So they did it. They said that they were doing it down by like the gymnasium sports complex thing or whatever they have down there. But it wasn't. It was up by like the main building. So it was just kind of confusing and everything. It seemed like they almost like were limiting the amount of people they could get through at a quick time by doing it that way. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Hey, you guys interested in some ADD right quick?
yeah, go for it.
All right, so I just came across this the other day. I guess I haven't been paying attention as much as I should be. Hold on, I'm trying to, dude. When we started streaming the video game, like I had to just delete all the windows and scenes that I had in OBS, And then so this guy's like, "Oh, let's do a podcast today." And I was like doing my taxes and doing other stuff. And then I turned it on and I was like, "Oh, I have no scenes, so I have nothing to show." So anyway, which one is it? So now all my stuff is messed up. I don't even know where my window capture is. I'll just do it right here, right quick. Have you guys heard the newest Joe Biden? I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear it actually, because how did I do it last time? I had to do a screen present.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me if you can. Well, can you hear the music or no? From the Pizzle Pack?
No. Nope. Nothing yet.
You can't hear that?
Nope.
Uh-oh.
Negative.
Damn.
Pizzle Pack.
It's so good. Anyway. So, I think this is the right one.
The other part.
I'll send it to you in the...
Oh, I just heard something there.
Yeah, I could hear that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Portion is
All right. Let's see if this is the right one.
portion is
The volume's
a lot
real
of
low.
people don't know how to register. Not everybody in the community, in the
I think we might be
Hispanic
hearing
and the
it through
African
your
American
mic, honestly.
community, particularly in
Nah, my headphones are on.
rural
Oh, okay.
areas that are distant and or the other portion is a lot of people don't know how to register. Not everybody
Can you
in
hear
the
it?
community,
Yeah.
in the Hispanic and the
Well.
African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to know how to get online to determine how to get in line for that COVID vaccination.
So, again, this is another year where, I don't
What
want
was he saying? I didn't get all that.
He basically said that Hispanic people, it's not Hispanic people and black people's fault in the inner city because they don't know how to get on the internet to register for...
What?
I sent it in the chat. If you like, it's only like a 30-second clip. But do you remember a couple years ago, it was white people again, no offense, I know there's 2 white guys in this chat today, but
It's okay. Most people think I'm Puerto Rican.
yeah, you look pretty dark.
If that counts for something.
Internet. There was a video a couple years ago. Now I I didn't even put Joe Biden, and now it's every Joe Biden clip. I didn't mean. Oh, this one. I think it was this one.
Hold. Wow, he's just, man, this guy is a piece of work. He just said they don't know how to go online, and he's like doing this weird finger thing. He's like, they don't know how to push the buttons.
Yeah,
And then he says, there's a part right here. What does he say? Hold on. This is crazy. They don't know how to get online to get in line. What?
What?
That's what he said. They don't know how to get online to get in line for this.
yeah,
Wow.
he's a good guy.
Kooky.
I don't hate the dude. I just that's why it wasn't working. I got a double scene going in here. Sorry, I messed. Yo, this is gonna be the most unprofessional.
I'll change it to just audio.
Yeah, thanks, Jared. You're gonna have to fix it again. No, there was a clip from like 4 years ago when Trump was running for president, and there was the same type of thing. And I wish I remember how to present it, but they went to these colleges and they asked these people like,
I'm Ami Horowitz, and I'm here in Berkeley, California to
You still
find
can't hear
out
it, right?
if voter
Yeah, I heard
ID
that.
laws suppress the black vote.
let's see. He basically asked people if like,
Voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're
wait,
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other places where they can get identification.
You can always get IDs if you do it over the internet. Does that also make it difficult for black people in particular?
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain fees.
Do you think that's harder for black people to go online?
well. I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works.
A lot of people have smartphones, but you might not have data.
For most of the communities, they don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware or like they're not informed. I also think there's a repression of
Are Like you
black
aware?
voting with how if you're a convicted felon, like you're not allowed to vote and everything. And when you look at swing states like Florida, that's a huge population of the like African Americans.
Now I'm here in East Harlem to ask black people their thoughts on what you just heard. Do you have ID?
Thank
Norman?
you. All right.
Carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID? That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes.
Because I have my ID and my friends have their ID, so like, we know what we need to carry around.
Everybody that I know have ID. Like, that's one of the things
Yeah.
you need to walk around with New York with, ID.
Do you know any black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
What is this, some type of trick candy?
And everyone has a
I know,
smartphone
right?
nowadays.
That's the only thing I brought with me.
Those are legit IDs. I heard a lot also that black people can't figure out how to get to the DMV.
Really?
That's
I know it's that, 126.
Do you know what the
Yeah,
ID,
we just
the
want to
DMV is, Ryan?
It's on 125th Street and 3rd Avenue, I believe.
You know how to get there?
Yeah.
Did you have a problem getting there if you had to get there?
No.
I know these sound like silly questions. You know how to get the DMV?
Of course.
You know where it is?
Yes.
You can get there?
Uh-huh.
No problem.
No problem.
Just checking.
Okay.
And I also heard a lot that black people, especially poor black people, have no access to the internet, can't figure out how to use the internet.
That's stupidity, honestly. Everybody has access to the internet. Even a little kid can figure out how to work the internet.
I had access to
Little
the
kids
internet.
know everything when it comes to the internet. Like,
So that video right there just made me, the new Biden one that I seen, it just brought me back to this video. I seen this video years ago, and I'm like, why do people think people don't know how to use the internet? It's 2021. I don't know. It's just a very weird thing to me that people assume that we don't know how to use the internet.
yeah, that's absurd. And honestly, it comes across pretty racist in my eyes.
Yeah.
The thing,
They're trying to be like non-racist. They're like, listen, they don't know how to. It's like, what the?
they've never seen the internet before. They don't have computers at school. They're still using payphones and beepers, you know.
You ever try to get on the internet in a flip phone?
Oh,
Absurd.
man. Yeah.
That is absurd.
And like you guys said, kids know how to use the internet nowadays too. Like,
Oh, my
yeah.
God.
So,
Phones are so intuitive, especially for children. Like, they're just like, they
Yeah.
just get it. And they're
Yep.
like, oh, just zoom with your finger. Like, oh. My 4-year-old, she started playing Roblox with her sister, and she's just like no, like I can't play a first person or a third person game on my phone. It's just like too weird. And she's just like, and she just does it.
Wow.
Yeah, I was playing what was I playing today? Yeah, Warzone today. And I'm playing, and this kid's like, "What are you on, computer?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I hear a lot of clicking over there." I was like, "Oh yeah." I get that a lot too. Like, "Oh, do you play on a computer?" And nobody says, "Oh, I didn't know black people know how to play on a computer." They're just like, "Oh." Like, I still don't understand these videos. Anyway, sorry.
looks like in my eyes, I'm like, how did he not get knocked out?
Yeah.
You guys never seen that video before, huh? Probably not. I spend way too much time on the internet.
No.
It was familiar to me. I don't know why though. So
It's like
maybe
from,
it's
I think it's from like 4 years ago.
wow.
So Travi is Jared, what should I say, Travis? What do you want to talk about? Oh, he's muted.
I don't know. I was having this interesting conversation with a buddy of mine. I'm muted.
Wait, what's his no, you're good. What's his race? That's very important for the conversation. We need to know. We need to I'm just kidding.
White.
Okay, so he has the internet. He probably has a cell phone.
Tortilla white.
Wait, he's good on the internet.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, whoa.
He knows where the DMV is.
Yeah. He's got an ID.
Who knows?
So what were you guys talking about?
no,
White
this is
supremacy? I'm
is
totally kidding.
Mentality of environment.
Yeah.
And I don't know I'm so tired of people using the environment as like an excuse for them being miserable or whatever, I guess. I don't know. And maybe that's like high standards or whatever for myself, but I spent like 10 years of my life blaming my circumstances or blaming my environment on the reason why I was miserable. To be specific, we were talking about the projects in Belchertown known as Lord Jeff or whatever, and he's like, oh, like I spent my childhood there, and basically like I like whatever, I needed to get out and blah 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 blah. And I'm like sitting here thinking, no matter where you go, you're always gonna have some kind of crap to deal with. And just like, I don't know, just the mindset and the attitude of just like, basically this is what happened. He's like, oh, you got to get out of Belchertown. And I'm like, why? No, I don't. I'm like, I don't need to get out of Belchertown. I'm like, maybe move out of Belchertown, but I feel like I want to bring hope to this community and other communities around the area. And he's like, oh, well, I grew up in Lord Jeff and blah, 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 blah. Like, I need to get out of town. And I'm like, well, good for you, but sounds like a piss poor excuse to me of like why you were miserable or like whatever. And I mean, I don't even care if this person sees, because I'm just speaking from like facts. It's like, you can't just sit around and like blame your environment, because like you can control your four walls. That's why I try to tell people, like, sometimes I'm blessed enough to encounter like younger people who actually need some kind of mentorship. So I try to give them the best advice I can. And one of the things I always tell them is you control your four walls. Like, maybe even if the four walls of your house suck, to some extent you can control like your own environment and headspace, and like you need to find good outlets and stuff. Like, you can't just blame it on the fact that this kid can't just blame the fact that he's miserable on living in Lord Jeff or whatever, you know what I mean? And I don't think someone else should be able to blame it on the fact that they might like live in the sticks or something. Like, you got to make the most of your environment. And I don't know, like the whole mentality of just running because that place sucks, you know what I mean? I never got that. I never understood that. And maybe that works for some people, but I spent my time running from my problems and it didn't get me anywhere, you know what I mean? Once I stood my ground and actually faced my problems, I could be in any environment and be okay.
Can I just shut my shit
I don't know.
down?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think wherever he ends up, he's gonna end up blaming that place, because he's like, "Oh, this place didn't help me out." When you're right, like within his walls, he's the change that needs to happen. Somehow, he needs to make it for the better. And the reason why he wants to get out of Dodge is because for him, it's all negative, you know. But it comes from, I don't know his scenario or him, but it comes from, like you said, it's his struggle. Blaming a location's weird. That's weird.
And it's like, he's like, you don't want your son like growing up there or whatever. And I'm like, dude, like wherever I live, my kids are going to be happy, because I'm going to do whatever it takes to provide that happy lifestyle, no matter where I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could be living in a penthouse, or I could be living out. I wouldn't prefer to live out of a Motel 6, but I could, and I could make the situation work and take it for what it is and make the best of it.
Yeah.
And like, if you have that mindset, I feel like you're going to get a lot further. I mean, I don't think many people would disagree with me on that, but
You're optimistic. He's very pessimistic for some reason.
Sometimes I feel like I can't change my mentality, but I blame that on, no offense, Travi, but the religion especially that I grew up in. I mean, that's a long conversation in itself, but I feel like
I don't ever take offense when someone says that, you know, religion or whatever, because I get it, man. Like, for the first 10 years of me going to church, I felt like I had to fit into a box, you know what I mean? And like, literally, if I didn't fit in, like, there was something wrong with me and there was a major disconnect. And it wasn't until it was presented that like I didn't have to fit into a box and be perfect that I was like, word, you know. But to each their own. And I can see why a lot of people would have, I mean, in the in my world they call it church hurt, you know. So like maybe you might hear a sermon about a pastor gloating about money and like they're emphasizing putting money in the pot, and I can't stand that. Like, let me tell you that. So it does it tarnishes, like, you see my tag, Trav the Christian rapper, and like some people may look at that and be like, oh well, you know, I went to this church and they were all about money, and it's like, well, I just hope that people give me the 3 minutes, just the 3 minutes to let me show them that I'm not like other people, I guess, you know. So but I definitely get what you're saying. Sure.
Ugh. I don't know, man. My mom, I love your mom. She hit me up the other day and was like, "Hey, you saw the cross?" I love your mom, but yo, she hit me up the other day and was like,
I think
"Hey."
that was upside down one. So
Anyway, she hit me up the other day. Was like, "Hey, you're gonna come over for the memorial for Passover?" And I'm just like, I'm probably about to go over there. I kind of don't want to though, just because.
Isn't it all digital now, so you don't even have to go?
Yeah, but she wants me to go over to the house for it.
Oh,
so
cool.
You gonna show up, buddy? You gonna have your Zoom? You gonna have a Zoom suit on?
Just like this, with my screen turned off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be in the other room. So.
Yo, Travi, both of us 10 years. We grew up in a different type of church. I call it a cult. People get mad when you call it that, but that's what I call it. Sorry.
There's culty things about it, but yeah.
Well, I don't want to misspeak, but I believe you said Jehovah Witness background, or no?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can see why. Yeah.
It just
For sure.
Yeah. The only reason I would lean towards that way is because the disassociation, you're breaking off people's lives into pieces and separating them from even like their own flesh and blood because you went somewhere else, and because of that it's
and
tends to be more culty for sure.
Look at the definition. Like it's not like people take the word cult as like, oh my god, but literally it just means a relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. Like cult doesn't mean anything crazy, or a system of religion that venerates a devotion directed toward particular. Anyway, it just means a deviation, and it's like. And that's what it is. And anyway, we don't have to get into church talk. You were talking about your boy and his situation. I'm like, that's so ingrained in my head. Sometimes I don't think I could ever get it out. I try to, but it's not.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough to break out of stuff like that, especially when you're a child. You learn things. It's so powerful.
I was listening to this.
You thought the right way.
That's the most. It's like the most impressionable.
The right way.
Like the most impressionable time.
Yeah, that's why they said, who was it? Fidel Castro used to take the kids and like they go after children because they can indoctrinate them at an early age, and you just got them. You got them forever.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see what's happening in America now. I wouldn't say like whatever. I mean, I don't want to say my thoughts too much because some people would just call me crazy, but they start with like the kids and try and infiltrate their minds here too. You see it with like the YouTube stuff and like the kid videos and whatever. And, you know, some people say like, oh, you're just overreacting, but I don't know. I see through like the lines and stuff, I feel.
Oh yeah. Well, some of the kid programming you watch on TV, it's like, what is this?
Right.
You're seeing the subliminal stuff that your kids don't even realize. Then
right.
Yeah, you're seeing through it. There's so many people whose eyes are just glazed over. They don't see that, and it's confusing.
Did you guys watch Cuties?
Yep.
No.
I didn't
ever.
I think me and my girl we watched the last.
I didn't watch
we watched the last 10 minutes maybe, just because that's what everyone talked about was the worst part. So I just shut my screen off. Whoops, tickles. But I think that's what we watched. It was like the last 10 minutes, and it was pretty wild. Like just like children twerking, and it was just weird. And I wanted to watch that new, but I don't even want that stuff on my screen. I don't want that stuff in my feed. But there was that RuPaul one where I don't know. There's just weird stuff out there, and they had that. What was that kid's name who went on CBS or whatever? What's his name? Desmond. Desmond. What's his name? That little kid twerking on TV.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
They probably took it off. Desmond the Amazing, I think, maybe.
That's weird.
Oh, like was it? It was like a young boy or something. They were like,
This little motherfucker.
Advil
I heard about it. I don't think that I saw it, but I heard about it.
My girl's like, how do you know this stuff? And I'm like, yo, I just watch everything because I don't watch it to be weird, but all right, here we go. I just watch everything. I feel like you need to have all the information you can in order to have a decent conversation with somebody.
Right.
Or even know what's going on. Like, right now, supposedly he's like in a bar. I think he says he's 11-year-old trailblazing drag kid, Desmond the Amazing.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I have seen like this kid talk before. I'm like,
and then I think he comes on. Yeah, he comes on like this is obviously like regular TV. Like, what is going on? I'm so confused. And then he was on some stream with some other guy like doing ketamine or something. They probably took it off, but
what's going on?
Good morning, America. Let's see if it gets any weirder. Look at this. Oh, you're so fierce. Ooh, good job. Let's see. And I mean, if you're an adult, do your thing. I think this is the young woman or drag queen that he was on TV. I don't know. I just want to see the part where he starts twerking. I never watched this, but supposedly somebody said it was on there.
Which politician was talking about saying that a 3-year-old, like, oh man, I'm gonna butcher it, but there was some kind of like this person wanted to say that basically at 3 years old you choose like what sex you are, like by like 3, whereas now I think it's, I don't know.
Yeah, the only reason I don't want
not trying to sound like it.
Don't do it. The only reason I would try to slightly agree with that is not agree with it, but hear me out for 1 second. My daughter, the one who was just sitting on my lap, she's a girly girl, and she was just born that way. She's a vegetarian. Nobody in my house is a vegetarian. Me and my other daughter, we eat bacon, egg, and cheese sausage sandwiches all the time. We make so much bacon in this house. Steak. We had steak yesterday, but she's a vegetarian. No one taught her that. There's lots of stuff that about her she's just known, and I'm just saying she's just been that way, and it's kind of weird, but she's just her. She's a girly girl. No one's ever been like, yo, you have to play with this because you're a girl, but she'd be like, these are girls' toys and these are boys' toys. I'm like, no, anyone can play with anything. And she's like, no, they can't. These are girls' toys. And we're like, all right, man, whatever. Like, that's just the way she is.
It's more of, I think the direction they were coming across as is like they know, so that's how do I put it so I don't sound like a douche? The
like an ass, right? Yeah.
like it of course it's whoever, it's whoever's choice. It's their thing. I'm not knocking that at all. But a 3-year-old doesn't particularly know who they are yet until they're a little bit older. I'm not going to stop a 3-year-old from doing anything if they want to do it, if it's safe and everything. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not going to be like, oh, are you a tree? And then be like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And then from then on, that's it. Like, they're a tree.
You should just plant them in cement and just be like, grow, bitch.
So I come in agreement with you, Jared, because like I can ask my daughter who's 8, what do you want for lunch? Like, such and such or whatever. I go and make exactly what she said that she wanted and bring it to her. And literally 2 minutes later, she says, oh, I don't want this. I want that. And I know it's like a smaller scale, you know what I mean? And I see, so I'll just base it off of how my father, like my experience in being a father. Like I see my daughter and she'll go through phases of hanging out with certain friends.
Sorry.
And those friends will like have certain impressions on her.
Yeah.
So like my daughter right now is all about like her baby dolls, and her friend Hannah's got like 100 baby dolls, and they all got like 16 outfits, and they all have like their own bottles, and they're always putting like lotion and conditioner and mixing it with water and like making their formula and whatever. But then like if she hangs out with another person in the community or whatever for a couple weeks, she'll start taking on more of more of that person does. You know what I'm saying? So these kids are so impressionable where if you put something in front of their face for like 5 minutes, they're stuck on that.
So
and
I think
you put something else in their face for 5 minutes, they're stuck on that.
So
So it's like I don't think they know what they would want to do, you know?
I think the point we all came to in different ways is that you have to support your children to an extent. When it gets into the extent of transforming your body, chopping off things, taking hormones or whatever, I think when it gets into physically changing your body, maybe that's where we disagree. But like you say, they're impressionable. One day they like this, one day they like that. Like, let them do what they got to do as long as they're not hurting themselves or hurting anyone else.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me is I would want to like, I don't have kids, so I can't speak to it very well, but I would want to make sure that my kids had a bunch of the info. It's like, okay, you want to do that, but look at all this stuff. These are like, that's not just one option. There's a bunch of options. You can choose your option. You can choose to be whoever you want. But what you're looking at and what you're seeing might not be the only option. So keep an open mind. And that can go for everything and for everything. And like Travis said, that like a child can easily get stuck on a certain thing, and like that's the thing because of friends. I know I did when I was young, you know, like okay, I like cars now. Like I'm gonna work on cars for the rest of my life, and then next day it ain't
right.
the case.
Question, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like that's what I think, you know. So you ask a kid that in like literally every year that could change.
Yeah,
you know. So
definitely
super impressionable. But being open to options, you know, giving them the options and saying, I feel like the best thing you can do is just be the informant. Like, hey, okay, that's cool, but look at all this other stuff too. Like, you don't have to like any of it. You can continue to do that, but there's all this other stuff.
Yeah, we just signed Lena up for softball. It's co-ed softball, so that's kind of cool. She's done gymnastics. She did basketball. She was not a fan of basketball, which I was kind of hoping she would be, just because I thought she would like it and it'd be cool. But she's just like, nah, it's kind of whack. I don't like it. Lexa wants to play soccer. She's never played soccer before, but she gets it, yo. The younger one, she can run and kick a ball. Like nobody taught her, but she just knows how to do it. So hopefully we'll get that.
Great.
Yeah, and then I got them season pass, but memberships to Central Rock for rock climbing.
Nice.
They don't do it. They, like, I gotta go cancel it. Honestly, I've been paying for like 6 months now because
Would you say Central Rock and Hadley?
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah, Central Rock and Hadley. But they go there and
I've been there a couple of times.
I'll be right back.
They're just scared. I don't know what it is, but they're scared of heights. But my youngest daughter, or my older daughter, she'll climb. You know that one wall, that the belay wall, the bouldering wall, that you can climb over the top, and just she'll do that one, no problem. But then I harness her up. I took the classes and stuff, and she gets up like not even as high as the wall that she climbs over, and she's like, "I'm done." And I'm like, "Yo, like, come on, bro." But the heights just gets them, man. I don't know what it is. The height gets them. I don't even know if I can find a picture, but yeah. So you've been there with your kids?
I've just been there by myself, but it's a crazy workout. You don't realize how many muscles it works in your body until like the next morning, and you're like, holy crap.
Until you see those guys in their muscle shirts, you're like, "What's up, dudes? How you doing?" They be yo.
And they're like busting down like the difficult ball, and you're like over there like staring at the thing like.
Or the
How do I
kids,
approach this?
or the kids too, man. There's young kids there because like we go when the students are out, and they're nuts, man. Just lanky little kids, and they're just like little spider monkeys getting up there. I got a lot of feedback. I wonder who that's from. I wonder if that's from me. Let me see. Can you hear that feedback or no?
Yeah, the stat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's Jared since he like.
Maybe it's from Jared. Could be.
Yeah, it's from Jared.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, no, my son is wild. Like he can throw. He doesn't like the concept of catching, for the most part. Right now, like I'm getting him there, but he'll throw a ball and he'll kick a ball like all day. And he likes. We have like this little basketball hoop. He slam dunks it so ferociously, it's ridiculous. And I'm like, oh, I would love for him to do sports, but at the same time, like in the similar sense, like I don't want to dictate his path. I will be open there to show him or teach him whatever I know about it, and let him choose his own thing.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, when I was a kid, I had the sweetest basketball hoop in the basement, and I've had so much fun with that thing as a kid. But I don't know if I'll ever find it again. My dad was like pretty good with that thing, buying that for me.
I had, the flimsy Nerf hoops. I had those a few different times, but I had like this legit one that counted your baskets and stuff like that. It was electronic.
Damn.
And like had the backboard and everything. So like it would do like games and stuff. You could do like 3-point contests. You have to hit a certain amount or whatever, like in time frame, and it was kind of cool. But
I can't
definitely more interactive than the flimsy cardboard one for sure.
I can't even find like a hoop that kind of even resembles it. But this was also
and it had Dick Vitale's voice. That was like the greatest part.
What was it called?
Oh, I think it was by Nerf. I just think it was like the electronic version of whatever. But yeah, the 24-second you'd hear Dick Vitale say, "Do 24-second shot clock," like in his accent and everything. It's like, yo,
oh man,
about to go to the NCAA. Like,
yeah. Anyway, I can't even find it. So, yeah, I turned off the Pizzle Pack because I thought it was me. I was like, what is that sound? I wonder why. Let's see if it's still doing it. Oh, I can't unmute him now. He has to unmute himself. Alright, well, I guess I can turn back on the Pizzle Pack. I was actually listening. Do you ever listen to this thing called the Naked Bible Podcast?
No.
Yeah, I had to mute you, Jared, because your whatever was going static crazy. So I had to mute you.
All right, there we go.
Sorry, I had to mute you. When you put your headphones on or something, it was just like... That's super
wow.
Yeah.
I muted my mic on this thing. Figured that was enough. My bad.
That's all good. No, so you never listened to... There's this podcast called the Naked Bible Podcast. It's pretty good. It's by this guy, Michael Heisner. You probably heard of him. If you're in...
I think I don't know. Let's see.
And this other one I started listening to is about... What's that, buddy? Kool-Aid? Oh, man. No, I love Naked Bible Project.
It's actually some Spindrift water, sparkling water, and tequila.
Ooh.
It's weird.
The only ones we have, Heather bought some sparkling water, but it has caffeine in it, like 25 milligrams of caffeine. She uses it instead of drinking instead of drinking coffee now to save on calories and stuff.
There's no calories in coffee.
If you put cream and sugar in it, there is.
Well, then drink it black.
Heather will not drink. She won't drink it black, man.
Really?
Yeah, she likes her coffee like she likes me, sweet and vanilla. I'm just kidding. I said that to my daughter all the time, and she never. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, get daddy some coffee. She's like, oh, do you want milk in it? I'm like, no, I like my coffee like I like my men, tall, dark, and handsome. And she's like, I don't know what that means, Dad. Like, never mind. I'll get my own.
That's
coffee.
confusing.
Yeah. My oldest daughter, man. I'm such a dweeb to her. So yeah, Naked Bible Podcast. You should check it out. Not Jared. Jared's not into Bible talk.
I am, but there's
I just
too much.
subscribed to it actually.
Dr. Michael
I just-
Heisner. You just subscribe to it? Naked Bible. Anyway,
Yeah.
what were you saying, Jared?
I wasn't saying anything.
Oh. What do you guys want to talk about? I don't want to go wild and get in trouble, so I've been trying to stay. We almost got off and got canceled from that Desmond the Amazing rant. I think we saved that one, hopefully. I was like, no, Travis, don't say nothing. Shut up.
Of course.
You're like, well, honestly. No. What other stuff in the... Yo, you heard we're supposed to be getting a new stimulus package or something like that?
Yeah,
Some more...
$5,000.
$5,000? Jesus.
Gotcha.
I was about to say.
$6,000.
Oh, man. New stimulus. What do you think these blacks are going to be? You think they're going to get internet and cell phones?
They're not going to get them because they don't know how to use the internet.
They're like, a bank account? What's that?
I don't even have an ID.
I cash my checks at Walmart.
Yeah, they don't have an ID.
At the liquor store. Yo, did you guys do your taxes yet? I was just doing mine today.
No, I actually have to do
No.
those. I'll probably do them later.
You still got time though. April 15th is.
I usually do them right at as soon as I can, and every time I got to pay in, man. Full.
Really?
So I just putting it off.
Why do you?
I tried changing my tax stuff and everything. I still every year we got to put it in.
You guys just make too much.
I don't know.
You should adopt a kid or something.
Seriously.
I think we had to pay. I would open it up right now, but I don't want to have my tax information on the YouTubes. But I think we had to pay like $1,000 for state. I think something crazy. It says we're supposed to be getting another. Wait, when is this from? Yeah, we will get a third round of COVID-19 stimulus checks.
Did it pass? Last time I heard it was like Monday they were talking about it.
Yeah, I saw 1,400 and they were still talking about it, but
Yeah, I don't know where it ended up. They were supposed to vote on something in the House on Monday. I don't know if that happened. Wait, it's Monday, right? So today.
yeah.
Yo, actually, I can go ADD on you right now. Everything is going wild actually right now with Google, Facebook in these countries. You've seen how Australia or Facebook banned the country or continent of Australia from Facebook?
Why?
Because Facebook.
They're getting so big. They think they could just do crap like that.
Because I guess Australia was like, hey, we don't like what you're doing with our information, and they tried to pass some laws. So Facebook was like, fine, we're banning your continent.
Wow.
Facebook bans news in Australia as a fight with the government.
I've been meaning to get out of that and delete it. I gotta do that.
Yo, that's why I'm trying to start Podstep, but it's like I kind of fell off because I started playing Valheim, and I just needed a break from like.
There's a lot there.
Making the website, and I was like, I'm just gonna take a break. So I took like a hiatus from the website.
That's what you need.
What happened?
That's what you need. I mean, nobody sprints forever. You gotta take a rest and then get back at it.
Right, yeah, you burn yourself out when you work on something for too long too. At least I do.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why, like, no bull, Rich. That's why I've been like talking to people about doing like podcast type thing myself because I was kind of burning myself out trying to overwhelm myself with like thinking musically and stuff like that. So I was like, let me take a little bit of a break from like writing and thinking about music for a second. Not that I even have anything out, you know what I mean? But even just so like for me, I have to have something. I like seeing progression. So like for music, it's like, oh well, you know, I might be practicing and like spitting these songs. It's like, oh well, I've been doing this for like the same songs for the last like 3-4 months. Like I need to get something else like written. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then it puts pressure on me, and then like, oh, if I don't have it, and then it starts consuming me, and then I get lethargic with it. So it's like I don't ever like to get to that place. So sometimes I'll change it up or whatever, try and find something a little bit different for a little stretch.
So, yeah, I mean, but Australia fired back. Sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm trying to stay on topic while continuing the topic. And then Florida is trying to pass some new laws too, where they're gonna put I think it was Florida and
Texas.
No, I think it was another country like Switzerland or the Netherlands or damn. But they were gonna fine them like $1 million a day in Florida. You heard what they did in Florida? Like if there's a person campaigning for government, like and Twitter bans them, they're just gonna start fining Twitter every day, saying that it's illegal action and going against the First Amendment rights and stuff.
It is. The government needs to step in and say, like, you can't just start banning people off your platform for what they say, because now you're controlling a narrative.
And as of right now, honestly, it's like that. Those platforms are bigger than government, honestly.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the government still has oversight and control, so it doesn't really matter. The problem is, there's people in government getting a fat check to go, like, leave them alone. That's the problem.
What you mean? Oh, you talking about leaving the big tech alone? Exactly.
Our government is big tech. That's like everything in our government is tied to big tech. All of it. And everyone gets like to add a little bit here and there, and like everyone gets some. That's why these bills are taking forever. Everyone wants a piece. Like, why? If we took the money that we sent to Thailand for transgender studies and gave it to all Americans, we would each got like $30,000 or something like that. Where's that money? Like, instead, we're getting like what, $1,400 a piece. They're like, here's the junk. Like, take this. It's like it's a slap in the face, really.
Yeah, I remember we did the podcast about that, and we went over some of the stuff that they were proposing to other, or not proposing, but they did give to other places, and it was just like, dude, like you said, gender studies in Indonesia or whatever, Pakistan or something, and like all this random stuff. Or we got to give 18 billion to Israel, like for what? Like, well, they got to go bomb Yemen some more, and they got to kick out the brown people that live.
Rich, you have any information about that? I guess Biden did some Syrian bombing recently.
Dude, I've been chilling. Like, I don't.
Yeah, it came up in conversation at work today too.
Really? I saw a bunch of memes about it, and it was like, stimulus? Nah, we'll just bomb Syria.
Yes, the Drake meme. I've seen that one too. Yeah. Yeah. No.
I saw a lot of memes with like basically just the last 4 presidents or whatever all bombing. You know what I mean? And like it'd be like, oh, Trump administration, Obama administration, all showing bombs and stuff. So it's like, yeah, not any single one of them is different in that regard, but they.
Yeah.
My favorite one was they had bombs, and then they had bombs with rainbow flags and Black Lives Matter stickers on.
Yeah, that's the one I saw. Right.
I saw that.
Oh shit!
It was like
They were
one was
dropping
like
bombs.
make America great again, and then the other one was like you're right, had like whatever flags on it, and then there was another one with different stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, crazy.
But no, back to your thing. I've been I kind of just been getting away from the news. Everything was, I think I was consumed too much by it. I just been like listening to comedy podcasts. I've been listening to, I like the Naked Bible because it's not like in your face, like serve Jesus. It just like talks about certain parts of a scripture. and like what the context would be back in that time, and like they translate it, and it's not real preachy. It's just like informational, so I like it. But no,
And
I don't even
I
know
saw
about the
it was
Syria thing.
non-denominational, so like that was, I don't know. I
Yeah.
got theories on all that. Like denominations kind of cause more discord in the body of Christ, you know, like speaking in that term. And so, yeah, people would just find like the littlest thing to hate on their brother, but it's like they're missing the big thing. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
it frustrates me. It frustrates me, and I'm like, I am someone who like says I love Jesus, you know, and I tell people like I love Jesus, and people know. So it's like it frustrates me though, like just where all that is. So.
You know, my whole life, I never knew. I was always taught that, you know, Baptists are wrong, Catholics are wrong. These people are just wrong. And then when you actually look into it, like you said, it's just like, oh, we disagree on like this verse in the Bible, or they've been talking about this. They've had councils on this since, you know, since a long time ago. The Council of Nicaea, there's like a bunch of them, but they've been discussing the same shit, and this the same religions just arguing about the same shit since forever.
Right, like Pentecostal, which actually the rehab I went to, that's like more their denomination and stuff like that. It was more like the more emphasis of like the power of the Holy Spirit and speaking in tongues and stuff like that. Whereas like my mom went to like a Baptist church, so that was more like I don't know, like just it was different. It was like not like that, not like Pentecost, you know. Almost like the I don't know, opposite. Like just it was this, but still obviously believe in the basis of Jesus coming and dying.
Oh yeah, no, I totally believe, dude. The Bible is so nuts. I totally believe it's the history of our past. Now, but when it comes to religion and who's going to save you, how you're going to get saved, where you're going to go, all that extra stuff, not extra stuff, but how different denominations decide, oh, you're going to go to heaven, you're going to go to hell. There's no heaven. We have a paradise, and, you know, all that other stuff. I'm like, whatever. But the actual history of the Bible, it's so interesting when you're just like, you look at the Sumerian tablets or the Enuma Elish, or you look at the Epic of Gilgamesh, like all these different things, and they're kind of super similar. And you're like, this is pretty. The Sumerian tablets by far is my favorite, and I understand it's just like a spin. It's. Have you ever heard of the Sumerian tablets, Travi? Dude, you got to get out there. I know you're like a Christian, but it's so interesting. All of it. It's so good, dude. So the Sumerian tablet says that there's these aliens that came from Planet X, or just from the 9th planet. They don't say Planet X. They came here because they needed gold for the planet because their atmosphere was running out. So they came to Earth. They started mining the gold for their planet, and they were like, yo, this is whack. We don't want to do this anymore. We should take these stupid-ass monkeys, put our DNA inside them, and make them mine the gold for us so we don't have to do it. They're like, all right, we did it. So they made these monkeys, and then another guy on the ship named El, I think, it was El and Enlil. They were the two different gods. He was like, yo, you can't be fucking with these monkeys like this. This is fucked up. And it's basically the creation story, but just told a little bit differently. Just like what's the Babylonian one? There's a Babylonian, but anyway, yeah, dude, I'm so into all that stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and it does follow like side by side to the paradigm.
Just different names,
other forms, and there's always some kind of higher power, whether it's a angel, a god, an alien, or whatever. But even them in that context, they still say, "Oh yeah, there's a higher being than us. Like we're just here to mine this gold so we can save our planet."
And if you think of like the Watchers or the angels who fall, they're the same things. The Watchers and the fallen angels. Do you ever look into the Book of Enoch?
I have a little bit.
Yeah, so my favorite part of the book in Enoch is when it says that the Watchers, when they came down, they taught the humans certain things. They taught them, like, metalworking, putting on jewelry. They taught them how to cut roots and do magic and stuff like this, and divinations. And it's like, again, it's the same story. it's just told differently. And just like I like what's it called? Come on, help me out. The Greek gods. What do they call it? Greek
The anthology.
Greek mythology.
Mythology.
Yeah. And if you look at that, it's like it takes those fallen angels, certain ones, and it just tells their personal story. And I'm like, because you always, when you read the Bible, it's so vague. It's like, this happened, this happened, this happened. And then when you look into the other religions, it kind of fills in the gaps. It's like, oh, this is what happened during that time. And I understand the Bible says that that's not important. This is what you need to know. Jesus is your savior. He's going to, give you salvation. But those other parts are still cool to me. Like, I find them interesting.
I find it hard to follow because there's so much in there. There's so much in there, and it progresses so. Honestly, it's a big book, but it progresses so fast and jumps.
What book? The Bible?
The whole thing, and how it reverts back and forward or whatever. I think there's so many books that were removed, like, oh, read that, that's trash, let's just get rid of it. I think they should all be included, and then everyone reads it and comes up with their own conclusions.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Group of guys who decided what it should be in there, and kind of like the narrative over the years. That's a problem.
Well, to my knowledge, the Dead Sea Scrolls do help with proving at least that the Bible could be one of the most valid books written, as far as it carrying over time. In some of the language and stuff is distorted, but the Dead Sea Scrolls were something they pulled up and found. They were ancient, scrolls of the Bible verses and books of the Bible, like parts and stuff.
Yeah, there was these two goat herders who found them in a mountainside in a cliff. No, they're super important, and it also parallels with history. So we have these facts that we know from history that are recorded in, like Pontius Pilate, for example. They found records of him, and it matches up. Like, all this stuff matches up with the Bible. Even like where Canaanite supposedly is, and where supposedly the ark landed. Like, oh, that's Sumer, or. Dude, believe me, I believe the Bible. I just don't believe in religions. But the Bible is so dope to me. It's so interesting to me.
Yeah, it's super cool.
I think one you guys talked about like how it jumps around, but I think a lot of people go into it hoping that it's supposed to be read front to back.
No.
And I don't even know if that's how it was intended, because some things, like, you look and there's like the 13 epistles, so that was talking about like the encounters with Jesus, and like stuff like that was written by one, or supposedly was written by Peter or Paul or whatever. The epistles. So you have that, but then you have the Old Testament, and I used to read it and think like, oh, Genesis to whatever for the Old Testament, and that's how it went. But it's not. It was, I don't know why it's pieced together the way it is, but like the first 5 books talk about history and stuff. So you might something in Leviticus, and it actually, may have happened in a certain other time that later on in the Bible, in the Old Testament, but because they piece it together as far as like kind of the genre, I guess you would say. Like, you have like Psalms and Proverbs and Song of Solomon, and those are more like poetic stuff. So those are all pieced together.
Yeah, I'm telling you, looking.
I realized that to like it made a little bit more sense to me. Like, okay, it's not supposed to be read front to back like that, like a storybook like that,
Yeah, I'm telling you, just get into. I mean, do what you want to do, but if you want to learn more about there's little parts, like if you open up Genesis in the first couple chapters, it talks about how God separated the waters from the waters. I read that verse, I'm like, what the hell does that mean? He separated waters from waters, and it's talking about salt water and fresh water. And then I decided to Google salt water and fresh water, and there were 2 different gods. And so it's talking about, and then you go into Greek mythology, and you have Poseidon, and who's the other one? Zeus was the other god of water or something? But
not Zeus.
Zeus was like the.
He was the
He's
god
like
of
the father of the gods.
Yeah.
No, Zeus. I don't know. Anyway, I can't think right now. I can never think because I'm slightly special. Gods of water. It was Poseidon and. Okay, hold on. I gotta show you what I'm seeing. Which scene is it? I wish I wrote them down correctly. All right, so look at here. Gods of water, gods of fresh water, gods of the ocean.
Definitely can't see what those words say. I don't know why.
You gotta put it in the.
Oh. There we go.
Who is the god of fresh water?
Archelios.
Yeah, thanks. I wasn't gonna try to. Greek god of the ocean, Poseidon. So there was 2 different gods. So if you go into Genesis, what? Man, this is so big for me. I'm glad you guys can read it. Anyway, this is pretty boring. And Travi, you should be able to quote this front to back. Your name is Travi the Christian rapper. You start saying it verbatim.
Rapping verse 1, Genesis 1.
Yeah. That though, it don't matter how many verses you know. It matters how many you put into practice.
Hey.
Oh.
Okay, here we go.
I actually told that to my younger brother, and he flipped on me.
Ooh.
Lost it. But,
he was like, "Why don't you take the raptor out of your eye, motherfucker?"
well, he was trying to quote Bible scripture with me, and I'm like, dude.
Yo, but check it out.
How much of that do you actually practice? And it's like, oh, right. You know? So
we got Genesis 1:6, and it said, and God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." So God made a vault and separated the water under the vault and the water above it. And it was so. God called the vault. Wait, this isn't the one I'm talking about.
That sounds like Inner Earth right there.
That sounds like what?
My interpretation of that, my interpretation of that, what you were talking about, is like, so when the flood happened, he opened the heavens. And so supposedly there's a firmament, you know, a little whatever separating the atmosphere from heaven. And then there's a little section in there that's water. And when he opened up the heavens and caused the first flood with Noah, that's what happened. He opened up the heavens. So when I read that, I interpret that as him separating the waters of like heavenly waters and the earthly waters. But that's me.
So like creating rain.
I could be terribly wrong. You know what I mean? But that's my understanding of it.
So
and yeah, that would be my understanding of how we have rain and stuff like that too. But that's I don't know.
So check this out right here. Right, a couple of years ago in Greenland, they found a massive crater where they believe altered the climate after the impact. So I know you said firmament or whatever, open up. But scientifically, they can kind of explain where all the water would come from. And how crazy is that? So what the scientists are saying that is super possible that there was a worldwide flood because when the comets hit Greenland or that upper part of the earth, it created so much water, it flooded most of the earth. You know, they say, you hear people talk about, oh, there's ice walls in the flat earth. But back in the day, most of the middle part of the middle part of the earth wasn't ice. The rest of it was all ice, above and below. And so if you were an explorer back in the day, yeah, you would get to that ice wall and be like, oh shit, this shit's flat and we're surrounded by an ice wall. When in reality, that's why the sea level was so low, and they think that Atlantis was in the Atlantic, and, you know, obviously a greater part of Egypt was in the Mediterranean Sea because the sea level was so low. And then this asteroid came and melted all the water. So what if, I'm not saying God threw the asteroid, but they found this. Yeah, I mean, maybe. If
possible.
Dude, yeah. But how crazy is that?
That looks like a big eyeball right there in that photo.
It looks like a big asshole, you said it?
Eyeball.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of asshole that looks like. But.
It looks like one of those giants from Valheim, a blue asshole. But yeah, so anyway, I think we should...
You should send me that.
This link about the massive crater?
Yeah.
It says in the time of humans, too. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. Not everything can be explained through science. That's not what I was gonna say, but like we have so much stuff that in my mind it doesn't prove the Bible right, but it proves that there was a flood and they're like, hey man, check this out. We think we found where the crater where it hit and would cause a massive climate change.
Interesting.
Anyway, well, before we get too weird, I think we should hey, I just want to say, you want to keep going, you said?
Why not?
Oh, well, we should also...
Although Travis looks like he might fall asleep soon.
No, I'm not gonna fall asleep. I'm actually pretty in tune as of right now, but I am also confiscating. My son sleeps in our room, so.
See, my thing is that I have weird topics that I feel like nobody wants to talk about, but
we could stroll on about. I mean, maybe not tonight, but I'm just saying I could talk about you know what I mean? Like I feel, I don't know. Labeling myself as Christian, some people might be like, oh, like he's closed off or like has a certain view, but I could talk about pretty much anything. And like this shit is interesting to me, at least. Pardon my language.
Yeah, I'd say so for myself as well.
Oh, it's just like, you know how Graham Hancock talks about how the Sphinx isn't, 6,000 years old. They're going back to 12,000 years old. And this is kind of where I got it from. You see like the 12,000 right here. And this is when they say that actual, this is when that, what's it called? Comet would have hit. And it would have caused great flooding and tore up the water. Like that's why there's water erosion on that Sphinx. And what did he say? He said that Sphinx has been there for 12 to 15,000 years. And then they're like, oh, so we found this crater. And it's like, dude, he was right. Ooh.
Science.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, man, I believe it all. I believe the Bible, but I also believe that it's a story. Not all of it is a story, but it's the story of our creation and where we came from, what we're doing here, and
one thing about it that I would agree with you, but I think there's huge parts of it that are supposed to be taken with like a guidance of like, here's an example, like don't do this, or here's an example, do this. I'm not necessarily convinced that everything in it happened, or is more of it's like an example of like maybe it did, but it's more meant to like read between the lines and not take so literal.
And a few like tagging on to that would be like the parables in like the first 4 books of the Testament and stuff. There's a lot of parables that Jesus spoke. It's kind of like he's not metaphors, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
The parable of the seed and like throwing the seed on rocky soil as opposed to whatever soil, as opposed to whatever soil, and it will grow differently, So it was like, in like, just, I don't know, like the way that when I think about Jesus, I'm like, damn, the guy was smooth, because like there's people saying like, yo, like stone this girl, right? And he's like, yeah, but if you like, you're an adulterer because if you look at a woman with lust, you commit adultery in your heart. You're a murderer because if you have anger in your heart towards another human, you've murdered them in your heart. So he was like, yeah, you guys ain't better than them. Everybody has something wrong with them, And so I don't know, he's just so smooth. Like, I don't know. Denzel type smooth.
I don't even know how I feel about, I don't know. I enjoy the Old Testament. I haven't even ventured my brain into the New Testament because you also have, I don't know. I just don't.
Revelation is epic.
Yeah.
Revelation is scary though.
Yeah, I think Revelation is mostly metaphorical, and in it, you like that one is the most complicated of them all. Like you gotta, you gotta find where that fits. It's crazy deep.
My mom would never, like, she wouldn't even tap into that book she would always tell us, like, because we do like morning devotions and stuff like before breakfast or whatever with her up until a certain point. We did our own little thing, but yeah, she wouldn't want us to read that until we were older. She always told us.
Well,
Scary.
I think the some of the most interesting parts of the Bible for me are actually everything to do with and everything he said, Jesus wise. Like I have a book that's every word he spoke. And it just says it all, and it's crazy. But at the same time, like there's so many times where he was just like dumbing it down for people so hard. Like
Right, that's why I'm saying he's so smooth. Like
yeah,
exactly. He's
like
like,
it might not have been literally like don't go build the house on the beach, but
right.
he's telling you that it ain't gonna be a good foundation. Like you got to build that foundation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I feel you.
yeah. So that part, there's no question for me. It's everything else, really. And I think most of the importance out of the Bible comes from what he probably spoke. You know, I can't get through Genesis without getting pissed off because of like the favoritism over certain families and stuff and all that kind of thing.
Hey,
I don't understand that.
Well, no, there's
like bloodline.
There's reasons for that because there's been so many. What did they say?
I can just trick my dad with a soup and then gain favor. Like, what the heck is that?
Well, what I'm saying is there were so many ways that God tried to save his people over and over and over again. And, you know, he had, first of all, who was one of the first to walk with God? It was Enoch, I believe, and supposedly he was taken up to heaven. Then you had Elijah. You had Noah, who made another covenant, and he was supposed to save the human race. And then Noah's kind of messed up. They tell that story. And then you have his children who make the Tower of Babel because they want to make a name for themselves and get to the heavens. So then they're kind of cut off, and then it happens again. Another covenant happens with David, and he was going to be the new king. Anyway, there's these covenants and covenants and covenants, and then Jesus is the last covenant. You know, they always say if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. That's why I don't. Sometimes I believe that. You know.
Yo, I just had like a really weird thought.
All right,
say it.
Like, just talking about infiltrating youth, yo, and so, like Abraham did his whole thing. Like God was like, "Oh, sacrifice your son," and like, would he do it or would he not have the faith, you know, and trust God? Goes to sacrifice his son, and you know, God calls him out or whatever and provides. But I don't know. I would have to look into it. I really would, but I feel like the parent upheld, and then when it came time to pass it on to the youth, there was a mistranslation or something. I don't know why I had like that thought process when I was thinking earlier about how they infiltrated the youth. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Whoa. No, I don't know if I believe that. I take
somebody's stepping in to deter. I wonder who that is.
You know, I think I make it super simple, and I think about it like my children. Like, you think of Adam and Eve, and the new thing I just discovered recently, and I'm gonna watch Supernatural again, is that Sam and Dean are they follow the Adam and Eve storyline. So you have the older brother. Have you ever watched Supernatural?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
I know. I think I'm gonna watch it again now that I know that
too much.
Not Adam and Eve. Sorry, Cain and Abel. Not Adam and Eve.
Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I think about it with my kids, and like the older one's always harassing the younger one. They're screaming and they're fighting. They love each other, but you have this dynamic of love and hate and give and take. And then your parents, as a parent, you tell your children, hey, you have to do it this way because this is the right way. And your child's like, hey, man, I'm going to do it my way because you might be right, but I'm going to do it better. And I feel like that was the same thing that God went through. The only way that we can learn how to be children, or not children, but to learn and live and grow on this earth is to go through it and do it ourselves. I'm going to mute you again, Jared, to see if it's your computer. Yeah. His computer's so loud. I don't know what it is. I muted you again. It's so loud. I don't know what's going on over there. Sounds like you're in like an ocean wave. I can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
How about now?
Yeah, that's fine now. But yeah, so I think about that dynamic. That's what it sounds like.
No, literally.
Really?
Yes.
Spot on with what it sounds.
It's like, so that's the dynamic I think about my kids. It's like, God just had to let it happen because the only way humans. So anyway, basically what I'm saying is that I used to think that I used to ask my parents all the time, or people, I would say, did Judas Iscariot have a choice? Because it's prophesied that there's going to be an apostle who betrays Jesus. Did he have a choice, or was he predestined? And everyone, they wouldn't really know what to say to me. So I always thought that nobody had a choice, that we're all predestined to do certain things.
Or did Jesus already know?
But you can know something. This is called the paradox. If you know something, did you cause it to happen? Or, you know what I
No.
mean?
If I know you're going to work tomorrow at a certain time, that's information.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna. It's not gonna change.
But if it's prophesied, do I have a choice?
I think what you have to think about is what is the basis of like Christianity. So you said, did Judas have a choice to do it or not?
Mm-hmm.
And so like, yeah, I feel Jesus literally he had to come and die. So in my defense, so what I would say to that would be like, if Judas didn't, first I believe God gives us free will, the right to make our own decisions. But besides that, he can guide us in, you know, I say like the butterflies in my stomach. It's not always butterflies in my stomach because I can't just always go based off of every time that I get an emotional feeling. But there's a dignified or like definitely a defining feeling inside when I like can feel God pulling me one way or another. And so that's the Holy Spirit. I won't get into that, but you believe that Christians believe that he had to come and die. So regardless, if Judas didn't do it, God would have used someone else to do it. It would have happened regardless.
I think
so. Then what the point is, like, did he have a choice or not is irrelevant. Is no matter what, someone would have been put in that place.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did have a choice, and they just knew what his choice would be.
So
and I feel like if Judas didn't choose to do it, then someone else would have been. The path would have led in that. I don't know. It's hard to explain it, but
so the point of that question goes back to the beginning of my children and stuff. You can tell them what is good. You can tell them what you want them to do, but ultimately they're going to make their own choice and they're going to, choose their own path. And so, in order for us to have the human experience and whatever, God tried. He gave humans the Garden of Eden, supposedly, if you believe the Bible or whatever. He gave them the Garden of Eden, and he tried, and they were like, hey man, we're kind of do something else, I guess. You could say they were deceived by the serpent, but were they really? Because I don't know. This is a long conversation. I don't know if I want to have right now. We can have, if you guys want to have like a Genesis talk or like a religious talk, I'm down, but
let's do it. I'm down.
We're at an hour and a half right now.
I'm down to go deep.
Yeah, I love religion.
It gets crazy. I think we all kind of know a decent amount about it, so it'd be a really cool conversation to have. We pick a location. I'll read it real quick and get confused and angry, and we'll report back.
Nah, man. Like I said, when I first started trying to read Genesis, I got through like the first couple verses, and then I was like, "What does that mean?" Especially when it said God separated the waters from the waters. I was like, and then, 2 verses in, I'm 20 pages into a website reading about, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I actually had a Bible study thing set up at the Nest, which is above Antonio's in town. And the only thing was that I literally showed up 3 Fridays in a row, one person showed up for like the second Friday that I showed up. And I was like, dang. I was like, maybe this just isn't the time or the feel, or it's just not what I should be doing right now. But for 3 weeks, I only had one person. So I was like, all right, I'm going to call this off right now. But
I feel like the approach people in religion takes on the Bible is the wrong approach to draw in a certain crowd. For me, it's just the history lesson and going through the psychological or the point. What's the point? There has to be a point to it. And so learning about Cain and Abel, just, one was a farmer and one was a herder of sheep. Like, what does that dynamic mean? And then you can go look at all these theories that people have just on those two simple traits. And for me, that's what I enjoy.
Right. The dynamic that I was going to do was basically because that's a recovery place and they have other meetings. I was trying to make it like connecting the 12 steps with the Bible and where you can find each of those 12 steps like in the Bible, basically. Maybe not in the word of the steps, but in other words, basically boiling down to the same thing. So that's the approach that I was going to take in that, not necessarily like, I never liked the beat the person over the head and make them feel like they're a failure type of approach.
I can't even
I
deal
think
with that.
like the first thing that is like important, like with my mission, is letting people know that they're loved, because you can't understand anything else other than until you can grasp that you're loved and that you have value. So
one of the things I've been trying to get across to myself and other people is that we're here for the experience. I mean, yes, you can't become a murderer and do all this crazy stuff and, start doing magic and stuff. But the only way for you to get the experience of being a human and learn what to do, sorry, something just happened. I don't know. But the only way that you can...
Magic.
What the hell is happening? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I think the wind's blowing or something and a tree fell. I don't know what the hell that was. And so, to me,
the Bible flying off the shelf.
Jesus, God's like, shut the fuck up. End the podcast now. Oh man. So all I'm saying is that I think it's more important for people to understand that yes, they're loved, but the only way for you to get to the next stage is to play this level all the way through to the end. You have to just play this level. I mean, some people call it reincarnation, some people call it whatever you want to call it. But we have to play this level. You have to learn how to be a human and deal with people in order to ascend to the next level. Because if you're a shitty human your whole life, you're going to be stuck in this. You're just going to be stuck.
It's all about frequency, man. Low frequency, high frequency.
Yeah. Alright. So I'm gonna check y'all later before another tree falls on the house. I was like, yo, what the hell is going on? Oh man. Alright, it was good talking to you guys. I think we should if you guys, like you said, you want to plan like Genesis, if you guys want to do the Tower of Babel, I'm really into that one. I didn't realize that those two books are backwards. Okay, so it says that Noah landed on the mountain after the flood or whatever, and then the Tower of Babel happened, and then he had his sons. It's some weird way, but really what happened was the ark landed, his people dispersed, then they came together to build the Tower of Babel, and then God separated them again. But it doesn't happen in that order in the Bible. Like Travis was saying before, it's like, mixed up. And I was like, oh, so it was Noah and his children that made the Tower of Babel after they just saved humanity. They were supposed to be the new saviors. And they were like, nah, bro, we about to do our own thing again. So, anyway. So, choose the topic. We can start a group message if you want and go from there.
That's cool.
Word up. I'm down.
Revelation verse by verse.
Yo.
Oh my god. And the worst,
some of those verses you'd have to take an hour just to break down.
Oh yeah.
And the worst part is anyone can find way better qualified people to talk about this instead of three retards in their house.
Yeah.
Like actual scholars and doctors.
Hey, you start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to toot my own horn because I'm not anything on this grand scheme of things, right? But you say that, but like literally a lot of the people that are doing their own little personal type thing and trying to get information out there are almost more credible than, like, let me tell you, there are some pastors that have gone to some schools, and I'd rather listen to like my buddy tell me about his experience and what he thinks the Bible is than someone else that went to like
Absolutely.
6 years of schooling and they're like, oh, throw $1,000 in the bin, you know what I mean, or this or that. So it ain't necessary. Like in this day, and I like, not to get spiritual, but in this day and age, I feel like God's calling people to pursue their passions and things that they're called to do, regardless of their political stature or financial stature or anything like that. You know what I mean?
So anyway, before we leave, I just want to say, if anyone's actually listening to this and they would like to go to the site where we're gonna switch it up, get off Facebook. I think I'm gonna start pushing it again, maybe change some stuff around. But Podstep is up and it's ready to roll. We just need some members.
There's like what, 8 people? Well, last time I checked, there was like 8 people or something like that.
Yeah, I had someone jump on today. They were hitting me up like, "Hey man, I'm on the site. Like, how come you're not responding?" I'm like, I've been slacking, man. I just been like I said, I needed
gotta create some kind of like internal group to join with a purpose of some kind.
Yeah, look at Jared's here. He never customized anything. I got my shit customized out. Travi's on here. No customization.
Yeah, I tried to do a profile picture. What the heck?
Yeah, I don't know. The Great
Is
Annihilator.
that the space one? That's cool. Look at that. Annihilator. Is that a black hole? That's scary.
He's
Who is that?
I don't know.
Tyler. It's this guy. He wants to do a podcast this week about drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's into like DMT and stuff like that, so
that'd be cool.
Yeah, so let's get this group going. Let me go back to you guys real quick. Thanks for coming on. It was great talking to you guys, and I will talk to you later. Let's set it up.
All right.
All right. Later, guys. Yeah, look at that face. It's J-Rod.